All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to break down a really smart framework for one of the toughest challenges any school faces: discipline. We're going to look at how teamwork and something called calibration can help build a system that's consistent, fair, and just works better for everybody.
Yeah, it's a question that can drive teachers, parents, and especially students crazy. And that inconsistency, it's more than just confusing. It can seriously damage the school's entire culture. So, the big question is, how do we fix it? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore.
So, first things first, we've got to get a really clear picture of the problem we're trying to solve, because you can't build a better system until you understand exactly what makes the current one so tough to manage.
You know, when you look at this list, what's really striking is how it's all connected. It's like a domino effect. When administrators are making these big decisions all by themselves, you're naturally going to get inconsistent consequences. And that inconsistency often leads to unfair outcomes for certain groups of students. And when that happens, poof, trust just disappears. It's a cycle, and to break it, you need a totally new game plan.
Okay, so if we're going to build that new game plan, we need a super solid foundation. So let's talk about the core principles that guide this whole process.
The key word, the magic word here, is calibration. You know, think of it like tuning an orchestra. You could have a bunch of amazing musicians, but if they're all playing in a slightly different key, it's just noise. Calibration is that tuning process. It's about getting every administrator on the exact same page so their decisions are aligned and, harmonious.
And these three pillars right here, they form that foundation. Consistency is simple. The rules don't change depending on who's making the call. Equity means we're not just robots, we're actually looking at each student's individual context and their needs. And transparency, well, that's about making sure everyone understands why a decision was made. That's absolutely crucial for rebuilding trust.
So how does this look day to day? Well, collaboration is key. It means getting rid of that making decisions in a silo thing we talked about. And making discipline student-centered, that's a huge shift. It's about changing the goal from just punishment to actually correcting behavior and restoring relationships. The whole focus becomes, how do we help this student learn from this and move forward?
Okay, so we've got the what and we've got the why. Now for the fun part, the how. We're going to walk through a 6-strategy playbook that puts all these principles into action.
This is our roadmap. We're going to dive into each one of these 6 plays, starting with building a team and going all the way to linking discipline with the support systems already in your school.
First up, and this is a big one, you can't collaborate by yourself. You need a team. And this group right here, your principal, assistant principals, dean, behavior folks, they become the engine that drives consistency. And notice, they're not meeting for hours on end. It's all about short, focused, regular meetings to tackle the tough cases and make sure everyone's thinking is aligned.
Okay, play number 2 is all about creating a system, a shared process for making decisions. So instead of just having a gut reaction, the team uses a protocol. It starts with the basics. What does our code of conduct actually say about this? And just as important, hey, what did we do last time something like this happened? This step alone immediately grounds the decision in consistency.
But it definitely doesn't stop there. The protocol forces the team to look at the whole student. Do they have an individualized education program, an IEP, or maybe a behavior intervention plan, a BIP? And here's the game-changing question. Does our response actually teach the student a new skill? This is where the whole thing shifts from just being punitive to actually being educational.
So how do you get good at using that protocol? You practice. Think of this strategy like a scrimmage or a practice drill for your administrators. You take a real scenario, everyone on the team decides on a consequence on their own, and then you all come together and talk about it. The real magic, the real alignment, happens when you start discussing why your decisions were different.
Now, to back all this up, you need data. A shared tracker is so much more than just administrative paperwork. It's a powerful tool for transparency and accountability. When you log the incident, the consequence, who made the call, and what supports were given, you create this living record that the entire team can see, learn from, and use to stay consistent.
And this is where that tracker becomes so powerful. You use that data to do regular equity reviews. You start asking the hard questions. Are we suspending one group of students way more than others? Are there kids getting sent to the office over and over again without any new supports being put in place? The tracker turns hunches into hard evidence, and it allows the team to fix the system, not just point fingers.
Strategy number 5 is super important. It's all about drawing clear lines in the sand. The team has to sit down and agree. What are our non-negotiables? You know, the serious stuff that has a mandated response, period? And then, where do we have some wiggle room? Where can we use our professional judgment? Defining this upfront stops so much confusion down the line and makes the whole system fairer.
And finally, play number 6. This is what ties it all together. Discipline can't just live on an island by itself. It has to be connected to the school's bigger support systems, what's often called a multi-tiered system of supports, or MTSS, and to restorative practices. The ultimate goal is that every single disciplinary action is paired with a support, all driven by one simple question: what are we adding to help the student succeed?
Okay, so you've implemented the playbook. You're doing the work. But how do you actually know if it's making a difference? Let's take a quick look at how you measure success.
These are your vital signs. Are the consequences for similar behavior starting to look more alike? When you survey students and staff, do they say the system feels fairer? Are you seeing fewer kids coming back for the same issue because they're actually getting the help they need? And critically, are you closing those gaps between different student groups? This is the data that tells you the system is truly changing for the better.
After hearing all these strategies, I know it can feel like a lot, a huge mountain to climb. But honestly, this entire process starts with one single, manageable action. Figure out who needs to be on your calibration team and get that first 30-minute meeting in the calendar. That's it. That's the first domino.
So I'll just leave you with this question. Forget about the whole 6-play playbook for a minute. Just focus on that one first step. In your school, right now, what would it really take to just get that first meeting scheduled?